All right, hey, shalom, shalom. Hey, first and foremost, I want to give all praises, all honor, all glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham Rakakodash. All right, double honors to the apostles, elders at Great Millstone. Shalom to you, Akim, pushing the work in truth and in sincerity. All right, coming back at you with another lesson through the spirit and power of Yahweh, Bahasham Shai. All right, I want to thank Yahweh, Bahasham Shai, for putting the spirit on me, to even do a lesson. All right, and this one, all right, is a video from this brother's page, Arrows of Indignation, 144. Okay, and the brothers was passing this around earlier, so I just wanted to kind of do a small commentary on what's being said here, because everything that's being said is things that we've touched on. All right, especially as of recently, and what do you know? Everything is kind of falling in line. All right, with prophecy. Okay, and that's our job, man. Prophecy, which means to say before. Only had a few precepts. Kind of, subscribe to this page if you ain't. I'm sure brothers are. I'm just saying it. So, definitely edifying channel. There's one of the brothers in the camp, the brother Uriah. He said whenever he ain't got no topic, and the spirit not hitting him, he goes directly to this page, and I definitely see why. Um, yeah, man. And it's a beautiful thing that the Lord put the spirit on us to understand what's going to take place in these times. And we're very fortunate, because most Jakes are in darkness, and the Lord through His Spirit is letting us know what's going to happen play by play. We've been saying that this devil is going to use uh, this his military to come after Jake, and we've been saying it. All right, we've been saying it. We're going into a digital system, which is the beast system. All right, where essentially they're going to be able to control you through which the thing by means of the RFID chip. So Salakia. So I'm gonna go ahead and play this. I'm not gonna play the whole video. It's only 8 minutes though, but if the spirit on me to play the whole thing, I'm gonna just kind of commentate on what this Jake is saying about what's happening. All right, he's a little fast, and he's using certain terms that you might have to look up, but Lord willing, I'll be able to decipher. But I mean, you understand. You should understand. Okay, but without further ado.
The United States is switching to a shadow policy apparatus. Okay, a shadow policy apparatus. We're going to go through it because it's a mix of debt surveillance, migration control, and supply chain domination.
Right, surveillance. All right, immigration control and supply chain domination. Okay, Esau wants control. All right, and that's what he's been doing over the years, is consolidating control. All right, meaning he's just expanding. All right, he's getting as much as control. He's getting his hands on much as he can. All right, to control. All right, everything, and that it explains it in Revelations the 13th chapter. All right, the 15th verse, the 16th verse. All right. While Jake is playing. All right. So moving on.
And really understanding this will help you see kind of what's going on right here. So don't imagine ISIS immigration enforcement. That's the wrong way to think about this. It is a soft domestic army.
Right. And I knew through the spirit that once they, went after the Northern Kingdom, the so-called Latinos and Native Americans, they were going to come after, the Southern Kingdom, Judah. All right. You so-called Negroes, so basically, and that's the thing with Esau's policies. They evolve into something really ugly, something sinister. All right. Because everything is, everything is done systematically for purposes beyond what they, what they tell us. All right, in the news. So
not just for immigration, but for control during social and economic unrest, functioning as a pretext for martial enforcement.
see, martial law. All right. So let me just rewind it just a little bit.
Social and economic unrest, functioning as a pretext for martial enforcement.
Yeah, because civil unrest is coming. Civil unrest is coming. Ain't nothing you can do about it. All right. The elites know it, and they've been preparing for it. In fact, they are infusing it. All right. They're infusing it. All right. Like a woman going into birth pains, and that's a good precept to get. They're inducing, all right, the birth pains. All right. In a sense. Okay. So let me get this on deck. 2nd Ezra 16, and let me start at 38. I can start at 37. All right, so he's talking about martial law. He's basically saying how ICE is just not, basically it's not for immigration, in my own words. Okay, they were going to expand and control, and they always had this intention. So, because guess what? They got Rex 84, which the elder apostle Gabar used to bring out a lot. All right, where they have detention centers and essentially concentration camps all over America, facilities that they're not using, which they're gonna start using those things. Okay, because you're gonna have a lot of people that's against Trump and his policies. Okay, which you've seen the protests. All right, and this thing ain't gonna end pretty. It's gonna end very ugly. It's gonna be very volatile. It's gonna have a lot of violence. We're seeing Esau kind of inducing the racial tensions. All right, and that's gonna get people roused up. And then you got oncoming crises, rolling blackouts. You get food shortages and all sorts of things. All right. So that's right. Behold, 2nd Ezra 16:37. Behold, the plagues draw nigh, and they're not slack. As when a woman or child in the 9th month bringeth forth her son with 2 or 3 hours of her birth, great pains can pass her womb, which pains when the child cometh forth, they slack not a moment. You see. And what the Lord is actually doing, as the scriptures say, he's actually speeding up the time. And we know Revelations 12:12 that that Esau shall come down with great wrath, because he knoweth that he hath but a short time. All right, so we're seeing things are being sped up, and that's why I use the analogy of him somewhat inducing the tension. All right, the racial tension and all that. So through the grand scheme of all of this, the Lord has a huge hand that's being played. All right. So again, the birth pains and these things are being sped up. All right. Even so shall not the plagues be slack to come upon the earth, and the world shall mourn, and sorrow shall come upon it on every side. That's why I titled this lesson A Time of Trouble. Whole time, all of these things are happening behind closed doors. And Israelites, for the love of me, all right, they absolutely don't understand the times. They don't understand how dire the times are. All right. They don't understand what type of spirit they're supposed to be in. They're supposed to be in the house of mourning, right? This ain't, we're not in a situation where we can be proud and essentially careless, with how we're moving and the things that we're saying. We're supposed to be on point. All right. And the only way we're going to get through this, and this is very scary, is because this is reality. There's no way of escaping what's about to go down. All right. According to Revelations 3 and 10. Okay. Because it's everybody's about to be tried, and the Lord is about to see to it. All right. That he sets this, the chess pieces in the right places to bring forth his will. All right. So this is inescapable. And the only way you can escape it truly is through Yahweh, Yahweh's only begotten son, Yahweh Shai. All right. Who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ. All right. So Matthew 24. Let me see here. Let's see here. Oops. So let me go up just a few verses. Let me see if I can find it really quick, and bear with me for a second. Yeah. So Matthew 24 and 22, it says, and except those days should be shortened, there should no flesh be saved, but for the elect's sake, those days shall be shortened. So we're noticing the days being shortened, right? And also with that, you got Esau moving at a certain pace, as it says here, Revelation 12 and 12, therefore rejoice, ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them, woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea, for the devil is come down unto you, having great wrath, because he knoweth that he hath but a short time, right? And most people don't understand what's going on in the world, right? A lot of you are involved in politics, and you don't understand that you are essentially giving credence, and you're in subjection to the beast, according to Revelation 17, Revelations 18, Revelations 13. All right, and that beast, the Lord is about to destroy. But before he destroys it, that beast is going to take many lives with them. All right. And they're going to do it through deception and by force. Okay. And this is what's up. All right. So here we go.
Economic fear. No. Obedience tool. Keep recession fears quiet while creating the conditions, right? And then high interest rates, strategic job insecurity, high cost of goods to slowly consolidate behavioral compliance.
See, it's a squeeze. Okay. It's a squeeze. All right. Behavioral compliance. And this is where you're going to kind of get into how this beast system is working. All right. And how, essentially how it's going to be, having everybody in subjection. So,
and then legal ambiguity, right? Because if citizens can be mistaken for the portable, who really has status?
Right. Nobody's going to have status. And really what's about to happen is they're going to be able to go after anybody they want, anyone they seem unfit for the new world order, so to speak.
Allows power to be weaponized through vagueness. Are you really safe? But then here's one of the things. A lot of people talking about a recession, of this, of that. It's a control lever. Recession is a control lever, not a crisis. It's the suppression of recession headlines, right, would mean that economic spiral is being curated rather than responded to. So the Fed and the elites need to slow down, to cool wage growth, to break labor momentum, and to reestablish capital discipline. And the middle class collapse is being managed, not avoided. We're going to see like stealth.
Yeah, everything is being managed. It's a slow, controlled demolition. Okay. In order to put things in the right place, in order to have control in the right place, this is how it's going down, so you can forget about making America great again. All right. Babylon have been a golden cup in the Lord's hand. All right. That made the world drunken. Okay. So what he's going to go into explaining is how the elites are transferring over, all right, to a new system. And they're kind of, they're getting rid of the old system. All right. And they call it, it's a term called breakaway societies. Something that I touched on years ago. I know the elders have touched on it. All right. Yeah, well, essentially, they're gonna, they've been allocating resources. All right, and you know, adding systems so they can essentially, when the system does crash, you know, via them doing so, all right, they'll be able to have absolute control. All right, when they reset the system. Okay, so
Liquidity extraction, right? Reverse QE, student loan repayments being reactivated.
yeah, so it's going to be more pressure on the people. Snap cuts, utility.
Snap cuts, utility hikes, no cultural language around it, just quiet pressure. And then the trade war as spectacle. The real shift is tech sovereignty. The China headlines, right, don't really matter that much. It's a global decoupling campaign. The U.S. is trying to pull critical manufacturing and rare earth reliance away from China without public panic. That is the whole goal, right? AI and microchip nationalism, that's the whole goal.
Yeah, and that's what we've been telling y'all asses, right? They're gonna go with this system, and they have been. What the hell is it's AI now? I mean, not entirely, but AI, right, is now running parts of the government. All right, or they're using AI to manage. All right, the governance. All right, okay, and then it's going to lead and spill over into the chip. It's going to spill over into the technology. It's going to spill over into digital IDs. The brother Gabar War, all right, just dealing with that. Social security numbers, all right, and essentially that being a tool where they can surveil and control, and not just control, but surveil and, for lack of better words, put tabs on people. All right, okay. So these are all systems of control. And then, I mean, of course, it's a finality to it all. Revelations 13, 15, 16. All right. All right. And this is why we're being prompted to watch. This is why we're being prompted and warned that the number of his name, all right, 666, all right, and all of those things, okay, because it's a system in which he's trying to employ. All right. And the best way of employing it is the slow demolition. All right. As you can see, so Salaki.
The United States consolidating control over chips and AI while quality offshoring inflation, right, and manufacturing externalities, right? China would be responding by building an alternative trade bloc, right? Think Belt and Road 2.0, but militarized. And then there's a return to national identity as economic strategy. If the deportation policies keep staying hidden how they are, right? Here's what's going on really deeply. Here's what's going on, because it's actually a quiet cultural reconciliation. It's a narrative pivot to nativism, right? And economic fear becomes a cultural fear about others taking jobs or corrupting systems. The citizens versus non-citizens is blurred on purpose, creating a two-tier system of rights. So the missing headline.
See, Esau's not playing. Esau's not playing. All right, so
that you don't see is that strategic collapse has begun, because there's a missing headline in the news right now, which is why we don't cover the news a lot on this page, because the news is not telling you the story. And I don't know how to say it. Like I want almost should go at them. That's how they're not doing it, because it smells a lot like the careful collapse of old post World War II. That's what it looks like. Right. What we're not being told is that we're being withdrawn from globalism, but not as an act of fear, but as a way to remold. Domestic enforcement rises while external entanglement shift toward economic cold wars instead of military ones. The systems aren't failing. They're being repurposed for a leaner, more controlled state model. So what we're actually,
and that is what the World Health Organization, that's what they've been playing with Klaus Schwab. They ultimately are going to bring in these systems where you ain't gonna have no sovereignty, you ain't gonna have no rules, no rights, and it's what they're gonna set up. is the illusion of inclusions type of deal. All right. UBI, universal basic income, and the list goes on.
Actually headed toward is freedom versus algorithm, governance by platform, social services, identity verification, even voting becomes tied to digital platforms. Man,
See, everything is going to tie you to being back to the Internet of Things. All right, which Pastor brings out a lot. Okay, and we've been telling you, you're gonna be surveilled based on what you post, and everybody's putting their thoughts on the fucking internet. All right, and so what do you think the AI is used for? To put your ass in categories. All right, and one thing that comes to mind is the blue force, red force tracking. All right. So when they do start coming after people, all right, and can't forget that Trump just gave immunity to these police who he's militarizing, and he's taking federal aid, and they're funneling it into the militarization and policing. All right. And he's going, and over the years you've been hearing so-called Negroes call for more policing in the neighborhoods and things of that nature. Okay, and so what's that going to do? Well, they're going to give you what you want, but it ain't never what you expect. Okay, it's always going to be more than what you expect. Okay, you can't forget you're dealing with the devil here, and then most of you are going to realize that when it's going to be too late for you. Okay, and then you got Trump supporters who they're not Trump supporters no more because they see exactly what's happening. Okay, so whether you like it or not, we're headed into that beast system. All right, this Esau, it's inevitable. For Jake to sit up here and talk about these other things that don't make sense and really don't matter at this time is really a detriment. But hey, it's all the Lord's doing. So Lord willing, it's making sense.
managed by corporate governance sponsorships and score-based citizenship.
Score-based citizenship, and I'm sure you're gonna mention China. All right, that's your social credit system.
Not unlike China's social credit, but
Oh,
similar.
okay.
Access to housing, healthcare, and loans could depend on compliance metrics like a
See, compliance to them. So all of those, all of that aid that people are getting now, all right, you're gonna have to comply. All right, you're gonna have to, you're gonna have to, what's the thing? You're gonna have to verify, identity, and that's by having a digital ID, right? And it's all going to be predicated on how your behavior is, and they're going to judge you based on your behavior, what you post, what you like, what you upload, what you search. All of those things are coming into account. All right.
attendance, payment behavior, speech records, even who you associate with online, and facial recognition, right? Cross-border biometric networks. Under the banner, right, of immigration control and national security, this will entrench surveillance capitalism as policy enforcement.
See, there you go. There you go. Let me play it back.
Banner, right, of immigration control and science metrics like attendance, payment behavior, speech records, even who you associate with online, and facial recognition, right? Cross-border biometric networks. Under the banner, right, of immigration control and national security, this will entrench surveillance capitalism as policy enforcement.
So they're using this whole immigration thing as a Trojan horse, right? They're using the immigration policy as a Trojan horse, all right, to bring in more of a tight, or more of a police state.
And we'll get border militarism as domestic doctrine. ICE will evolve into a national enforcement arm. That's what I'm trying to get y'all to understand.
See, and now it makes sense. Second Ezra 16 and 68. Okay. And this is a recipe for trouble for you Jakes. Okay. So I'm sure I'm jumping the gun a little bit, but ultimately this is the finality of it all. 2 Ezra 16:68, for behold, the burning wrath of a great multitude is kindled over you, and they shall take away certain of you and feed you, being idle with things offered unto idols. Right? Okay, ultimately it's going to lead to that. All right. Esau has got, he's got everything in play, and he finally, you dummies, allow for them, and the devil ain't gonna come in unless you invite him in, and that's what you Americans, that's what you've done. You invited this in. All right. Okay. And so this is going to be especially dire for you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, like we've been saying. Okay, like we've been saying. So get ready, and of course, man, when I got done hearing this hours ago, I'm just waking up, and I kind of want to do a lesson, for the day and stuff. So, but earlier as I was thinking about this, I was just really meditating. The way that this thing is going to go down, man. This ain't no joke. I was kind of startled. I was just like, but it reiterated the spirit was reiterating that you're gonna need divine help. That's what this is all about. All about divine help. This is the Lord. Ultimately, this is the Lord putting the squeeze on everybody, right? And this is very well drawn up. I mean, even though it's tacky, but it's a war tactic nonetheless. And there ain't no way you can step outside of these parameters, man. All right, that's being said. So, man, it's gonna get tough. It's already tough, and it's gonna get a lot more tough. All right. So it says, "For behold, the burning wrath of a great multitude is kindled over you, and they shall take away certain of you and feed you, being idle with things offered unto idols." All right. That means they're going to detain your ass. All right. They're going to detain you. And then the things offered unto idols is going to be that chip. All right. You're going to have to adhere to their demands. Digital ID. With that shit, that's a, you being verified online, you being tracked online, everything you do online, you being limited in the world, what you can buy. So you kind of see how everything kind of collides as far as even with you got to mention as far as decarbonization, all right, sea change, climate change, and how they're going to do the carbon tax, all right, even towards humans, all right. You're not going to be able to buy and sell or buy and live a certain way, okay, because they're going to cut it off. All right, so Salaki says, 2 Ezra 16:69, and they that consent unto them shall be had in derision and in reproach. You're going to be mocked. They're going to mock at you because this thing is to enslave you. It's not to free you that you can live in this new world. It's to enslave. That's it. It's to enslave you. So those that consent unto this man in his setting, all right, and accept his image and his mark and take his mark, right, you're going to be had in derision. You're going to be reproached, and it says, and trodden underfoot. Okay, the mass majority of the people they want to get rid of. All right, and there's a set of people who they want in their new world order, and it ain't you niggas. Believe me, it's not you niggas. All right. Verse 70, for there shall be in every place and in the next cities a great insurrection upon those that fear the Lord. Okay. They coming and they're going to come after those that fear the Most High. Okay. Because what Esau is going to try to break up is that the identity, what is that? The identity politics, whatever you want to call it. All right. For lack of better words. In other words, you saying, oh, I'm an Israelite. I'm a Christian, go out the band. They're going to break all that shit up. Okay. Right. And you're going to have to be a world citizen, right? With a digital ID and ultimately an RFID chip in your hand. All right. Second Ezra 1671, they shall be like madmen, sparing none, but still spoiling and destroying those that fear the Lord. He just mentioned how the troops, how basically they're making it's a soft, I forget the term, soft domestic militarization. That's what it is. ISIS is going to become, it's going to become another whole entire different beast. All right, because it wasn't just to go after immigration. Immigration was a ploy. It was the snare, or the jinn within the snare to lure. Right. These people talking about they rouse these people up, saying that these people are taking your jobs and taking away your life and what the citizens consented to the shit. They consented to the takeover. It just shows you how dumb and manipulated these people are. For they shall waste and take away their goods and cast them out of their houses. That's right. You're going to be having whole populations being redirected and moved from their homes and thrown into concentration camps, maybe because they won't comply with the different measures that they got in place that they're going to try to not try. They will impose on people. All right, then shall they be known who are my chosen, and they shall be tried as the gold in the fire. And that's right. So the chosen are going to be known in that time, in the dire time where Jake is getting murdered left and right. Because again, the Lord, he scarcely saves. All right. Excuse me. Or as the scriptures say, we shall be scarcely saved. Okay. And that's when the Lord is going to bring, he's going to lift up a standard. The enemy, the Esau is setting to come in like a flood. Okay.
Far beyond immigration, right? They will act extrajudicially, right? Performing detainments, removals during civil unrest, economic protests, or in emergency zones. The border will move inward, affecting citizens who appear deportable, meaning racial profiling will become infrastructural.
See, just when you thought that they've made, these changes to, equity and fairness, and then they have, pretty much championed the cause against police brutality. Nigga, that's coming full-fledged. Okay. And, of course, it just ain't gonna be you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native. It's gonna be everybody. All right. But more concentrated and more directed towards the tribes. All right. And this is real. Watch.
Right. Then, right, we have economic citizenship, class-based republic. You'll get the corporate class Americans, right, with full access to mobility, healthcare, education, and legal immunity. Tier 2 working class citizens monitor and manage through benefit conditionality, job programs, debt forgiveness, and access tied to obedience. And then the non-citizens, refugees, and shadow citizens, those lost in data errors, legal traps, debt collapse, used for labor, feared, and narrative. And then
see, so they're gonna have it looks like he's saying a 3-tier class system with the rich at the top. You got the re-educate the re-educated ones at the center, and then at the bottom, of course, the ones that they're going to detain and pretty much justify the means of probably eradicating that class of people. But somebody got to be the enemy. All right, somebody got to be the enemy. Okay, that they're going to be, kind of using them to predicate and push, this, new way of life. All right, and these are the people that's holding us back. These violent people. They're already pushing the narrative. You so-called Negroes are genetically inferior. You're super predators, violent. All right. So everything is set up, man.
The false faith economy will bloom, right? A fusion of patriotism and financial compliance. You prove your loyalty by not voting. That's what it's gonna come down to. By spending, subscribing, uploading, and believing in the narrative.
See? Yeah.
Religious nationalism is gonna rise. Church-state fusion via family values rhetoric, but deployed to justify surveillance and anti-immigrant actions.
Yeah, exactly. We're gonna be exploiting people. All right, you're gonna have to prove that you're with the status quo. You're gonna have to prove that you're with the furthering of the Edomite imperialism. Okay.
Crypto and digital dollars may be offered as freedom, but they really just gonna create a programmable money trap.
That's it. A programmable money trap. All right, and we're rid of the dollar. Okay, and they're gonna bring in the digital systems. All right, and to fully secure you within it, right, you're gonna have to take the RFID chip. Okay, because they're not having it otherwise. All right, and this is why we're gonna need that. This is why we're gonna need the Lord to thrive. All right, to even, man. So let me just last few precepts. Again, if you're not subscribe. Arrows of Indignation 144, very edifying videos. He's putting up daily. Okay, for your consumption. All right. So this is Daniel 12:1, the time of the end, and this is where we at, without a shadow of a doubt, or a shadow of doubt. Daniel 12:1. At that time shall Michael stand up, the great prince which standeth for the children of thy people. This precept was always heavy to me because I think I was 20 years old, right? And I just came into the truth. All right. And me and the elder brother here in the camp, Wisconsin camp, Tazawan, we were together on a bus. And we were going to the grocery store. I'll never forget. All right, we were prepping for a meal later on that night. We didn't have much money, but we had enough to put just a meal that night. And it was this white tall man on the bus, and we'll never forget. And he can attest to this as well. And he quoted this scripture. He quoted this scripture out of nowhere. And he looked at us like, don't act like you don't know what I'm talking about. Either the Lord put the spirit on a man, or that was an angel who looked like a white man. And of course, again, that's out of our hands. We don't control that, but this precept was always profound. But ever since I came into the truth, this is one of the major things or major precepts that was, that was at the forefront of our understanding, okay, because, hey, we've been fighting this long to essentially come to this point, the finality of all things. All right. And yeah, man, we get to see the downfall of this place. Of course, that's not without us. We're going to have to go through it as well. As the scripture said, we're going to be brought, the third part should be brought through the fire, and so this is for all the marbles. This is what we've been waiting on, It says, and at that time shall Michael stand up, the great prince, which standeth for the children of thy people. Right? And there shall be a time of trouble. There are a lot of Jakes, a lot of our people don't believe that there's a time of trouble coming. Right? With all of these different signs that's going on, with all of these things that Esau is doing, all of the information that we're bringing out. Okay. They don't have they're not even prepared. All right. They're not prepared on how this thing is going to turn around. All right. Knowing you as an Israelite was cool. Right. A lot of Jake come in this thing with that, just that understanding alone. Oh, I'm an Israelite, fun, kingdom, and not really call into mind that you have enemies. You have a perpetual enemy who wants to eliminate your asses. All right. All right. So whatever, it ain't like we ain't been telling you. So it says, and there shall be a time of trouble such as never was since there was a nation even to that same time. Right. And this is why is this the greatest trouble? Because you never had so many people. All right. That's going to be that have been deceived to fall into a snare such as this. All right. And this is probably one of the greatest snares of all time. This beast system is one of the greatest traps of all time, because what you let the devil in, you let Satan in, you comply to basically this, and the Lord put it on your spirit to comply. All right. So, hey, all right, such as never was since there was a nation even to that same time. And at that time, thy people shall be delivered, everyone that shall be found and written in the book of life. Right. Those who the Lord who he predestined for salvation. Okay. The elect, the chosen. All right. So that's pretty much it. Okay. Oh yeah. Revelations 3:10. Okay. Because thou hast kept the word of my patience. All right. This truth, this understanding. We held on to the faith. When the real times, when the real times get going, all right, when the hard times get going, we're going to be calling to mind everything that we learn, right? every scripture that we meditated upon, all right, and that all of that is supposed to be a shield for our salvation. Okay. It says, I also will keep thee from the hour of temptation. And this is what we're dealing with. Everything that this young man is explaining, all right, has everything to do with you, and it's going to affect every last one of you, all right, especially in America. Negro, Latino, Native American, white, Asian, East Indian, Arab, African, all right, all of yous, all right, all of yous. Okay, it says, which shall come upon all the world to try them that dwell upon the earth. Every man is going to be tried. All right, let's go into this word try. All right, and the word try is
Strong's G 3985, Pyrazzo.
All right, so here it says to try, make trial of, test for the purpose of asserting his quality, right, or what he thinks, or how he will behave himself. Because a lot of individuals, let's be honest, are going to make haste, even those that know the truth. They're going to make haste in that time. Because let me tell you, this what he's explaining, man, that is a bombshell on your nervous system, man. That can make you very quite nervous, because it's like, what am I going to do? How can I do it? Man, if you ain't got the Lord, man, you ain't going to do it. You ain't going to be able to do a damn thing. Okay. And again, this is the Lord's trying. Okay. So we're going to be tried according to our faith. All right. Which here it says under 3. All right. Well, these two are good here. All right. Because what's going to kick in, all right, you're going to have a fear, and then all these other things are, going to weigh in on your spirit. And only thing you're going to have is reasoning, reasoning. Are you going to be able to reason within yourself to kind of put all the, things in perspective the way they should, the way you've been trained, all right, throughout the years you've been in the truth. All right. So it says, in a good sense, all right, in a bad sense, to test one maliciously, craftily, to put to the proof his feelings or judgments. A lot of individuals who are Israelites going to curse the Most High. All right. You're going to curse the Most High, especially because you never understood his will. All right. Here it says to try or test one's faith, virtue, character by enticement to sin. Well, the Lord ain't going to entice you to sin. That's what Esau is set up for, All right. Either you're going to choose Esau's mark, all right, or you're going to accept the Lord, Yahweh Bashmi Shai's mark. All right. And I mean, and that trial right now is being done. That's being done right now, You got to go through this adversity and this, this truth and taking up your cross daily. All right. Okay. Because look, if you ain't got integrity, man, it's going to show, to solicit to sin, to tempt. Well, the scriptures say the Lord ain't got to entice nobody to sin. Esau is doing it, so. Okay, because a lot of individuals are they're gonna want to save their life, and it's not gonna work out for many, So, Lord willing, that was edifying, Again, it's a Salaki too. I was, just getting up, so trying to corral my thoughts. But and through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shem Shai, I was edified by just watching this video. I understood what was coming. But there's a privilege, and the Lord is doing us a just deed by giving us the play-by-play, in which most of these things through the Spirit we've been calling out, in prior years, we've been saying these things, and what do you know? These things are starting to culminate, So with that, till next time, I'll give all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh Shem Shai, Bashim Makakwadash. Double honors to the apostles, elders of Great Millstone. Shalom to you, Akim. Shalom.